What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Weekly GCap, the only source you'll ever need to catch up on all the gaming news from the last week. As always, we got a bunch of stories to go over, so let's go ahead and get right into this. First things first, the EA Sports FC release date was revealed. Now, if you're not sure what EA Sports FC is, basically this is what's going to be replacing EA Sports FIFA. I guess there was a bit of a licensing disagreement there or something. I'm not entirely sure. If I'm going to be honest, I don't really keep up to the recent news when it comes to like sports video games like NBA, Madden, etc. But anyway, the release date is September 29th, and it's going to be releasing on the Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Series S, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PC, and the Nintendo Switch. So if that interests you, then mark the calendar because it's coming up in just about 2 months. Next up, the release date was revealed for the PlayStation 5 Access controller. So if you don't know what this is, basically it's a accessibility controller where, say, somebody has a disability. It'll allow them to play games more easily, or it'll give them more ways to customize their gaming experience to make it more accessible for them. It's honestly really cool that Sony is doing this, and I hope to see other gaming companies follow, not just with like Nintendo and stuff like that, but just more gaming companies in general, whether that be like third parties. Because, well, obviously it's nice that the first parties are doing this, and you know, when you're getting the console, it would probably be the best idea to gravitate towards that first party option from, you know, Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo. But I hope to see some third parties get involved, because obviously there's a lot of disabilities out there, and you know, we do hear about these projects a lot where there's people creating these specific controllers and control setups for people with disabilities. But you know, the more third parties get involved and the more outside sources try to work on this stuff, the faster we'll be able to innovate this technology. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that what they're doing here isn't enough, because you know, as I said, you know, it's great that Sony is doing this and I'm glad. It's just now that we're seeing first parties actually take part in this, hopefully this means that more third parties and smaller companies will start to follow. Maybe some more research can get put into it, because there has been a great emphasis towards, you know, pushing towards the accessibility sides of things when it comes to like a video game tech. A lot of different games and companies have been doing their best to keep things as accessible for as many people as possible. So, you know, like I said, the more people that get involved with this, the faster this technology can evolve, and soon enough, basically anyone and everyone will be able to play video games. Next up, the spiritual successor to Patapon was revealed. If you don't know what Patapon is, well, if you have a PSP, I highly recommend picking up a copy, and if you don't have a PSP, it is available on PS Plus Premium if you have either a PS4 or a PS5, so that's another great way to play it. In fact, that's probably the way that I would recommend to play it if you don't have a PSP. That's personally how I end up playing this game most times nowadays, because, you know, despite the fact that this game has been out for ages at this point, I still return to it time after time again, just because it's that good, it's that charming. But anyway, this coming from Video Games Chronicle, quote, a spiritual successor to PlayStation's classic rhythm action game Patapon was unveiled at Bit Summit in Kyoto, Japan on Saturday. Radaton, I think is how you say it, is being developed for unspecified platforms by Patapon creator Hiroyuki Kotani, with audio by original Patapon musician Kime Adachi. The game will be crowdfunded via Kickstarter, with the campaign due to start on July 31st. So this isn't a thing where it's officially in development already, rather they're going to be doing a Kickstarter. So I'm definitely going to be throwing some money at this, and if you guys are interested in doing so as well, then once the Kickstarter goes live, I'll edit the description of this video a couple weeks from now, and I'll go ahead and put a link down there if you guys would be interested in supporting this. And again, if you haven't played the original Patapon before, please, however you manage to do it, please play. Next up, the reviews went live for Pikmin 4, so I just wanted to cover that real quick. Right now, it's sitting at an 88 on Metacritic, which, yeah, that's basically what I expect. It's somewhere between like the 80s to the 90s. You guys know me, I don't really care about review scores. For me, review scores literally don't mean anything. You know, there's so many variables when it comes to playing video games and your feelings on video games and different mechanics and such. So for me, review scores are kind of irrelevant, but I still like to cover them anyway, just for those that do kind of care about that stuff. And for our next story, this, wow, this was an interesting one. So, not The Last of Us, released on the Switch. This has been getting all sorts of buzz online. You probably heard about it by now. The game is called The Last Hope, I believe. Just from watching the trailer, I'm sure you can already tell it's supposed to be like a Last of Us ripoff. You got your main character, which is like, it's not even like great value Joel. We're talking, I don't even know what this is, but it's not good. It's like Dollar Tree Joel. And then we got great value Ellie. I say great value Ellie because they at least tried to make her look somewhat like Ellie, but yeah, this is just, I can't even call it a meme game, because it's not a meme game. It's not trying to be a meme game. It's trying to be like an actual good game, but, you know, it's from one of those garbage shovelware Switch developers or publishers or whatever, and yeah, this game is terrible. Normally, I wouldn't, you know, dunk on indie games, but if you go and look at this publisher's site, or, yeah, I guess, like, their page on the eShop, rather, yeah, they're just kind of known for this kind of shovelware, right? Like, they're not even trying to hide it. Like, they are just blatant scammers, so do not purchase anything from them. Do not purchase this game, but feel free to laugh at it. Anyways, for our next story, Microsoft is going to be ending Xbox Live Gold, which it's partly surprising, partly kind of not. Like, I was kind of expecting them to do some sort of revamp, but it kind of seems like they're following in the footprints of Sony. So they're going to have a couple of tiers here. First off, they're going to have the core tier, which is sort of like PS Plus Essential, but even lesser. That's going to be $10 a month, and then they're going to have the console tier, which is $11 a month, and then they're going to have the PC tier, which is $10 a month, and then Ultimate, which is $15 a month, which includes both console and PC. So let's go ahead and try to cover this real quick. So the core includes online multiplayer, just like Gold, a catalog of over 25 high-quality games on console. They haven't specified what those 25 games are, so I'm not sure what that's about. And then member deals and discounts. And then we move on to the console tier, where I guess this is like normal Game Pass as we have it now, where it says hundreds of high-quality games on console, new games on day one, member deals, and discounts. However, it doesn't specify that it includes online multiplayer, so I'm assuming this is just for Game Pass and not for online. It's honestly kind of confusing. So there's no online included with the console tier, only Game Pass. And then we go into the PC tier, and it says hundreds of high quality games on PC, new games on day one, member deals and discounts, and the EA Play membership. So before, the EA Play membership was included with just Game Pass in general, but now if you get the console tier, you won't have access to EA Play, which is weird because we've had access to it the whole time, but now we won't. Same thing with the core tier. Neither the core or the console tiers will have access to EA Play. But then if you get Ultimate, you get hundreds of high-quality games on console, PC, and the cloud, new games on day one, member deals, discounts, and perks, online console multiplayer, and EA Play membership. And to break down the prices, again, core is only $10 a month, console is $11 a month, PC is $10 a month, and Ultimate is $15 a month. Personally, I'm just going to say right now, it's a complete scam. It's a complete ripoff. Go for Ultimate. Do not get core and console, or don't just get console and don't just get core. No, get Ultimate. It's only $4 or $5 more. Every other tier is a complete scam. One quick thing I wanted to highlight here is Antstream is coming to Xbox. If you don't know what Antstream is, it's I'm gonna be honest. It's not something that I'm gonna be checking out necessarily, because, as the name suggests, it's a streaming service, but it's for a bunch of classic retro video games, so this may interest some of you out there. Basically, there is going to be two different options. There's going to be a 12-month pass and a lifetime pass. This is like Xbox Game Pass, but for classic games. They're boasting over 1,300 classic games and over 600 minigame challenges, so if that interests you, it will be coming to Xbox soon, and I would highly recommend checking it out if you're interested in it, if you're okay with streaming the games. Again, it's over 1,300 classic games. There's a 12-month option and a lifetime pass. The lifetime pass is $80, whereas the 12-month pass is $30. I'd say go with the $30 one first, just to see if you like the service, and then from there upgrade to a lifetime later on if you decide that you like the service and the games. Like I said, that was a quick one, but I just kind of wanted to highlight it just in case it interests anybody. And for our next story, this one was interesting, but do you guys remember the Xbox 360 game Sonic Free Riders? Yeah, do you want to know the most important feature of the game, or the most polarizing feature of the game, rather? Yeah, the Kinect. Well, interestingly enough, the game actually ended up getting an update where now you don't need the Kinect, which is awesome, because the game itself, I enjoyed playing it back in the day. Like, I never had that bad of a time with Kinect. It worked well enough, I guess. So, you know, the game itself, I always had fun with it, but now that the Kinect is not required, you know, I haven't played this game in years. It's been, I don't even know how long at this point. It's been a very long time. But now that the Kinect isn't required, I definitely see myself going back to at least try it. In fact, after I finish recording this, I was actually planning on doing it later this afternoon, because I still have the game physically, so I might as well. I wish more companies would go back and do this with some of their older games, you know, because there was a lot of games that came out that required the Kinect, because at the time, it seemed like Kinect was going to be something huge, you know, it was kind of rivaling like PlayStation Move and the Wii. It was like, that was like the thing at the time, right? You know, moving your body around, having all these like motion controls and stuff, but obviously we all know how that went with the Kinect and all that. But yeah, you know, if more games could get these kinds of updates to where games that used to require the Kinect could just be played with a controller now, or played through alternative means, that would be really nice. And like I said before, the game is actually a lot of fun, so it's definitely worth checking out. And for our next story, while we're talking about old games randomly getting updates, let's go ahead and talk about another game that randomly got an update. Shadowrun on the Xbox 360 randomly had its servers fixed. This coming from Video Gamer, quote, "While Shadowrun's peer-to-peer servers never truly went offline, some dedicated fans of the series noticed that the recent revival of old COD servers seemed to have a negative impact on the game's matchmaking service, knocking them offline. User WWM0Key and a few others noticed this issue and reached out to Microsoft to see if the servers could be salvaged. To many players' surprise, Microsoft not only fixed the issue, but WWM0Nkey also noted that the servers, quote, actually kind of works better than it ever has worked in the history of the game being up, end quote. Before the fix, matches used to take over 30 seconds to be found, but after the revival of the game servers, WWM0Nkey noted that this now takes around 3 seconds, end quote. So yeah, Shadowrun was actually a blast back in the day. I haven't played it in a while now, but hearing that the servers are fixed and, kind of being reminded of this game, because I'm not going to lie, I've played hundreds, if not thousands of games in my time, sometimes some games just kind of get lost in the back filings of my mind that I forget to revisit from time to time, but Shadowrun is one where I actually had a lot of fun with that game, so hearing that the servers are fixed and they're actually working better than ever now, I think I'm going to dive back in. And once again, this is another one where I can highly recommend, like, if you haven't played this game before, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's a blast. Next up, and again, this is another situation where old servers were randomly fixed. Microsoft saved Call of Duty on Xbox. So for those of you that don't know, basically the servers for the Xbox 360 versions of the older Call of Duty games between COD 4 and Black Ops 2 have kind of just been broken for a little while now. Well, it wasn't necessarily, I believe if you went on the Xbox 360 version, it was working relatively fine. It was just the Xbox One and the Series X and S version specifically. There was something about the backwards compatibility, it was kind of messing it up there. It might have been just for the 360 servers in general, but from what I remember, because I remember playing a couple of times during the time that people were saying they were broken, and I got in matches just fine, so I'm not really sure what, the whole story was there. But anyway, people have been asking Activision for years at this point to fix these servers, right? And out of nowhere, they got fixed. And everybody was wondering, okay, did Activision do this? Is this a result of the acquisition? Maybe is Activision trying to clean up some of their older games so they don't, look so bad to Microsoft? But in fact, it was Microsoft, apparently, that fixed the servers. So let's go ahead and read this. This coming from Modern Warfare 2 Informer on Twitter, quote, confirmed it was actually Microsoft that went ahead and fixed the old Call of Duty servers. Sources close to Activision confirm, end quote. And another thing worth noting is that after these servers were fixed, if basically all of the old Call of Duties jumped to the top of the Xbox sales charts on the Xbox 360, the Series X, S, Xbox One, across the board on all the Xboxes. All the old COD games just like shot up to the top. We're talking COD 4, World of War, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, like all of those at the top of the sales charts. So yeah, I've been playing them on my main channel actually, so if that interests you, you can go check out my main channel. I've been making a bunch of videos on all these old Call of Duties, just revisiting them, seeing how the servers are holding up, and I've been having an absolute blast doing it. So yeah, if you've never tried these games before, if you want that nostalgia hit, now is definitely the time to dive back in. Heck, what am I saying? With the old Call of Duties, it's always a good time to hop back in. I have so much nostalgia for these games, man. Next up, this one kind of irks me, so I'm not gonna go off on a whole rant, but I'm gonna try to compose myself. A UK game store is ending sales of physical games. This coming from GameIndustry.biz. Quote, UK supermarket chain Tesco will no longer stock physical video games in its 2,800 stores, GamesIndustry.biz can reveal. Once the current range of games have sold out, the firm will not be giving any more shelf space to games products. The one exception are digital points cards, which will remain available through its outlets. The supermarket chain says it's due to the move from its customers towards digital entertainment. It follows the news that GameStop Ireland has closed all of its 35 stores. It operated 8 stores in Dublin, 6 in Cork, and 3 in Limerick, end quote. Yeah, I want to go off on a whole rant right now, but I've done that so many times to you guys before, so I'm not going to do it again. All I'm going to say is I'm a huge video game collector. I believe in video game preservation, and I believe in physical preservation above all else. And a game store claiming to be a game store ending sales of physical games, you're not a real game store, you suck. I'm gonna stop myself there. I just at least wanted to, put the news out there for you guys, just so, because we've been seeing this more and more lately, right? So I like to at least bring it to your guys' attention, because I know a lot of you that watch this channel, kind of seems to be that type of audience where you guys are kind of along the same mindset of liking physical media and such. Or at least believing in, like preservation and all of that at the very least. And, yeah, this stuff really irks me, and I could go off on a whole rant, and I really want to, but there's still a good handful of stories to go through, so I'm gonna cut myself off there. Oh god, why? Like, why the all-digital feature? I'll never understand it. All I'm gonna say is players deserve to make that choice for themselves, not to have the choices taken away from them. Next up, I got the July Xbox Game Pass games for you guys. Those are Tectonica, Tome, The Cave, Maquette, Figment 2 Creed Valley, The Wandering Village, Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem. Definitely check that one out. Serious Sam, it's an underrated series. It's one of those boomer shooters, but it's great, let me tell you. Venba, and Celeste, another one I highly recommend checking out. All great games right there. And for our last stories of the day, I have a bunch of updates on the, well, not a bunch of updates, but a couple of updates here for the Microsoft and the Activision acquisition stuff. The news has been rather quiet as, you know, things have been kind of getting settled and figured out behind the scenes. But anyway, the first piece of news that I have is that Microsoft and the CMA have agreed on an extension to negotiate. If you remember last week, we were talking about how it was kind of uncertain as to what was going to be happening between Microsoft and the CMA. Well, now we know. This is coming from The Verge, quote, Microsoft and CMA get more time to negotiate. The UK's Competition Appeal Tribunal has agreed with some requirements that need to be satisfied on Thursday to pause Microsoft's appeal of the CMA decision to block the Activision Blizzard merger. Both the CMA and Microsoft requested this last week to allow them to negotiate over a cloud gaming deal. The CMA has also extended the date for its final order from July 18th to August 29th, so it's likely that Microsoft's deal will tick past the July 18th deadline and could see a temporary extension, end quote, which perfectly bleeds into the next part of the story, where Microsoft and Activision extend deal deadline. This coming from Brad Smith on Twitter, quote, together with Activision, we are announcing the extension of our merger agreement to October 18th to provide ample time to work through the final regulatory issues. We will honor all commitments agreed upon with the EC and other regulators and continue to work with the CMA on the issues raised in the UK. We are confident about our prospects for getting this deal across the finish line, end quote. So, yeah, like I said, it's not much, but those, you know, they're still working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Not a whole lot is public knowledge right now. In fact, not only is not a lot public knowledge right now, but I'm sure even behind the scenes, there's not much knowledge because, you know, it's been a whole cluster, to say the very least, behind the scenes, right? So, yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot that I have to say about this. I'm sure Microsoft and the CMA are going to come to some sort of deal, and again, the deadline for the deal got extended up until October 18th, so seems like everything's good there. Originally, it was unclear as to what was going to happen, but, you know, seeing as Microsoft and Activision have been sticking together this long and they're this close to the finish line, it makes sense that they extended the deadline for the deal. Why put in all this effort just to throw it away because you hit an arbitrary deadline, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's that. I don't know. We'll probably end up hearing some more either this week or the week following. So, as always, as soon as we know more about this story, I'll let you guys know. But anyway, that's all the stories I got for you guys this week. Now, I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. What are you guys thinking? Do you have any thoughts on the Microsoft Activision acquisition stuff? Probably not, because there wasn't that much there. But, I mean, if you guys have any theories about that, definitely love to hear it as always. What do you think about all those old Xbox 360 games getting, like, fixed and updated and stuff? I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. It's cool to see these older games getting support. And what are your thoughts on The Last Hope on Nintendo Switch? I would love to hear your guys' reviews in the comments. But anyway, this is Weekly GCap. New episodes go live every single Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so if you want to catch them as soon as they go live, well then, now you know when to be here. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.